Very good evening. It's a brand new month. It's the 1st of July 2020. 6 months have gone by the year 2020, and taking a look back at the past 6 months, it was not that great. I say this because it's something aware to both you and I that owing to the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, the lifestyles and the day-to-day activities were hindered. Work from home has come into play and people had to stay indoors. But that was a challenge we all had to go through. But now it's a chance for us, the next few months, to think different, to think more energetic and to think more positive. It's time for us to rise up and let's bring about change with positivity in the next 6 months of 2020. With that small thought, let's start off the bulletin. It's time for us to take a look at tonight's headlines.
Preschools, grades 1 and 2 at all schools will reopen on the 10th of August. Port workers stage protest on a gantry crane imported from China, demanding not to sell the East Container Terminal to India. Maha Sangha requests to stop Karuna Amman from contesting the election. Lakshman Yapa reveals how Rajapaksas were protected during the government of good governance. Upul Taranga appears at the Special Investigation Unit on Prevention of Offences relating to sports to provide a statement.
As mentioned on the headlines this evening, issuing a release, the Ministry of Education has announced that all preschools, grade 1 and grade 2 at all schools will reopen on the 10th of August 2020.
The Ministry of Education added the first-year academic studies at faculties of National Colleges of Education will commence on the 17th of July. For the second-year students, faculties will reopen on the 31st of July. The ministry has announced that first and second grades in all teaching schools will reopen on the 7th of August. Reopening of government schools will take place in 3 stages.
Venerable Dr. Omalpe Sobhitathero once again requested to revoke the candidacy of Vinyanamurthy Muralidharan alias Karunamam from the 2020 general election. The Venerable Thero expressed the following views after providing a statement at the Presidential Commission probing the April 21st attacks.
We made a complaint to the chairman of the National Election Commission citing that Karuna Amman is carrying out his campaign by violating election laws. Even though we are not law professionals, I know when justice is violated. The main thing here is, as a candidate, you should engage in your political activities by not terrorizing the voters. When Karuna Amman said he killed thousands of war heroes, he made a terror statement that violates peace. Therefore, Karuna Amman has no right to consent to the election as a public representative. These criminals must not be elected to parliament as public representatives. People should understand that.
Lakshman Yapa is contesting the upcoming general election from the Mathura district through the SLPP ticket. Now, during a campaign rally held in his hometown, which is Hakmana, last night, Lakshman Yapa Abewardena reminisced the sacrifices he made on behalf of the Rajapaksas.
Has a single grain of sand been put in? There was a rally of Mahinda Rajapaksas day before yesterday. 3 MPs spoke at the rally. During the rally, there was an instance where certain people were asked to stand. Mahinda Rajapaksa was never alone. We stood on behalf of him. In 2015, my aide spent more than 30 million rupees for the election. I spent that money without any hesitation to confirm Mahinda Rajapaksa's victory. Mahinda Rajapaksa's family knows what I have done for them in the past. If you ask Mahinda Rajapaksa's security guard, Neville, he will explain what I have done while in the government. I stood side by side with Mahinda Rajapaksa. Basil Rajapaksa knows. There are many things I cannot reveal. If you ask Lalit Veeratunga what I did for him before he was imprisoned, he will tell you. Premasiri of Highways and Gamini Senarat will also tell you what I have done for them. We saved certain people by sending them abroad. We work with such unity. Basil gave me a task and I did it well. Many do not know that. Now everyone loves the Rajapaksas, but they are against Nipuna Ranavaka. They oppose the Rajapaksas when Nipuna Ranavaka is there. I had travelled on a lone journey. However, he came with Mahinda Yapa and let go of him. He came to our village without any of us, holds a meeting and contests the election. This is our hometown. No one can play around here.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa expressed his views regarding Karuna Amman today.
අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමනි කරුණා අම්මාන්ගේ පසුගිය කාලේ සිදු කරපු ප්‍රකාශය සම්බන්ධයෙන් කරුණා අම්මාන්ගේ
If you must ask Karuna Amman regarding his statement. Anyway, it is wrong. We don't approve of it. The CID is investigating that. The Prime Minister made these remarks upon meeting a group of Tamil journalists this afternoon. Matters relating to the development of the northern and eastern regions had figured during the discussion. It is our government that did a large amount of work in the north and east after 1977. What did the UNP government or the TNA government of the UNP, as we may call it, do to the people in the north? They took up their problems and portrayed it through a political lens. They are unable to develop the province, provide them with water and repair the roads in the area. After the war was over, we paid equal attention to the northern province to bring it up to the level of the southern province. However, the progress was backtracked in the recent past. Investors do not have to worry as there is security. They can obtain the dividends that they earn. Their investments have been protected by the constitution itself. But most of them are not willing to invest there. They always seek land in Colombo. We must encourage them to move towards the north as well. We have always been asking them to go to the north.
අගමැතිතුමනි මේ දෙමළ ජාතික සන්ධානය ළඟදී ප්‍රකාශ කරලා තිබුණා අපි මේ මැතිවරණයෙන් පසු ආණ්ඩුවට සහාය දක්වන්න සූදානම් සිටින යම්කිසි කතාබහක් කරනවා කියලා. ඒ සහාය පිළිගන්න ඔබතුමාලා සූදානම්ද? ආණ්ඩුවකට සහයෝගය දක්වන්න ඕන කෙනෙක්.
Anyone can support the government. Anyone can oppose it as well. It is good to support the government.
ආණ්ඩුවට සහයෝගය දක්වන්න නම් මුලින් හොඳයි කියලා.
අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමනි තුනින් දෙකින් බලයක් ඔබතුමාලා ජනතාවගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. ලං වෙලා ඒක ලබා ගන්න බැරි වුණොත් TNA සහයෝගී ඕගොල්ලන් ඉල්ලනවා.
අපි බලමු ඒ වෙලාවට. පස්සේ බලන්න ඕන දේවල් නේ.
ඒ කියන්නේ සූදානම්ෙන් ඉන්නවා.
නෑ අපිට ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ.
The problem lies with supporting the government. When we were in the opposition, we remained silent over some matters, supported some moves and objected the others. That right lies with the parties.
අයිතිය විපක්ෂයට තියෙනවා.
ගනීර පළාතේ පුරාවස්තු සම්බන්ධයෙන් ජනාධිපති මේකක් ආරම්භ කරා. ඒකෙන් දෙමළ හෝ මුස්ලිම් ජනතාව කවුරුත් සහභාගී කරේ නැහැ.
Who does all these activities? Ultimately, it is the Tamil and the Muslim people who are involved in these activities in the northern and eastern provinces, although there is a task force. It is these people who are involved in this process.
ඡන්දයෙන් පස්සේ පළාත් සභා ක්‍රමයේ යම්කිසි සංශෝධනයක් ඇති කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියෙනවා. තුනෙන් දෙකක් ඕනේ දැන් මේ කට්ටිය මොකද වෙනසක් කරානේ?
We need a two-thirds majority. The former government had made some changes. By damaging the provincial council system and amending the electoral system, they have created a mess. I believe that we would require a two-thirds majority to amend the electoral system.
මැතිවරණ ක්‍රමවේදය වෙනස් කරන්න ඔත්තුම් දෙකක් අවශ්‍ය වෙයි කියලා මම හිතනවා.
ඡන්දයෙන් පස්සේ ආණ්ඩුවට එකතු වෙන පක්ෂ හා විශේෂයෙන්ම දෙමළ පක්ෂ හා පක්ෂ නායකයන්ට දෙන්න මොනාරි ප්‍රතිලාභයක් ක්‍රමයක් මොනහරි තියෙනවා.
ඒකලවත් නෑ තාම.
එහෙම ඉල්ලීමක් මොකක් කරේ දැනට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවද අගමැති?
කාගෙන්වත් ඇවිල්ලා නෑ එහෙම.
කවුරුත් එකතු වීමටවත් සඳහන් කරලා
කිසිම සාකච්ඡාවක් නෑ දැනට. ඔක්කොම තමන්ගේ දේශපාලනය කරගෙන යනවා මිසක් තාම සාකච්ඡා කරන්න වෙලාවක් උනේ නෑ.
Following the meeting, a journalist from Jaffna served mangoes to the Prime Minister.
Three employees of the Colombo port climbed on a gantry crane imported from China and began a fast this afternoon. Now, trade unions stated that discussions ended without a solution being given. The trade union's primary demand had been that the eastern container terminal not be given to India and instead be developed domestically.
Three individuals representing the Port Trade Unions Collective climbed on to the crane and began the fast at about 9 a.m. today. They carried out their fast on one of the three gantry cranes brought to Sri Lanka from China recently.
We will continue our struggle to save the East Terminal up until we as the Sri Lanka Ports Authority emerge victorious. We want it in writing. We stand for this together for the future of the Treasury. The East Terminal is extremely deep and can hold very large vessels.
The Ports Authority has already completed a significant portion of the construction work. A discourse emerged of an effort to hand this terminal to an Indian firm and coincided with the 3 gantry cranes ordered from China arriving in the country. Trade unions state that the cranes should be fixed at the East Terminal, but no approval has been received for this purpose.
When I came to the port, the government had already ordered these cranes to fix it at the JCT5. Then, knowing that these are expected, we took steps to move this to the ECTI East Terminal. Even though those aren't gantry cranes, we thought of using the opportunity and moving this temporarily. When it came to this matter, there was an agreement signed by the former government already in place, so there could be an issue on the side of India. Then we can discuss it as well. Now for this ship, the demurrage alone is 9.4 million. That means per day it is about $300,000. After the 27th, it's supposed to be $60,000 US. The total sum is around 935 million rupees. This is a port salary, so it is everyone's problem. The next thing is that we need a written guarantee. This has been loaded on to the ECTI terminal. We want a guarantee that the ECTI staff will handle its operations. We will not get down until then. What is happening at present is what is not good for the port. There isn't a port official to make a decision. Sir, once this has been cut into 2, it has to be taken in. For that, you need a 15-ton crane. As we give the Ports Authority 1.4 million and they failed to do it, we ordered it for the CICT. The order was placed as a security, asking them not to let CICT buy it. Then who is doing this?
There is an allegation that India and Japan have already signed the contract and that an Indian firm is expecting to replace Japan.
Japan is not discussing with us at the moment. It is India. We spoke to the Indian High Commission officials.
Will the Ports Authority bear the cost of the demurrage? How will that happen?
There is no necessity to pay as yet. We have time. There is no issue yet. That is what some people think.
මෙතුමනි මේ කොළඹ වරායේ නැගිටින පරයන්තය ඉන්දියාවට ලබා දෙනවා කියලා මතයක් දැන් සමාජගත කියලා තියෙන. ඒ පිළිබඳව එහෙම දෙයක් තියෙනවද? එහෙම මතවාදයක්.
Yes, there are some opinions like that, but we have not made a firm decision on that. This agreement was between President Sirisena and Prime Minister of the UNP-led government and the Indian Prime Minister Modi. These are all diplomatic level agreements.
While trade unions warn of an attempt to hand over the East Container Terminal of the Colombo port to an Indian company, and while authorities call it a diplomatic issue, India is focusing on the loans given to Sri Lanka. The Hindu newspaper reported that discussions were held regarding the request made by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa for rescheduling its debt repayment. The report said senior level talks were held at the Indian High Commission in Colombo as well as in New Delhi, India. The newspaper reported that India is holding, quote, close and constructive, unquote, discussions with Sri Lanka. However, a decision has not been reached regarding the requests for rescheduling its debt repayment and for currency swap facilities. The Hindu reported that Sri Lanka is scheduled to repay $2.9 billion of its debt, which Colombo is reportedly trying to reschedule with bilateral partners. The report added that it is unclear how Sri Lanka will repay the apparently non-negotiable $1 billion international sovereign bond maturing this October. Meanwhile, the news report by the Hindu also states, while Sri Lanka has explored alternative measures to obtain debt, it has decided to obtain $140 million long-term facility from the China Development Bank. When Newsfirst inquired from the Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka, it said such an agreement had been reached to obtain the loan in 2 tranches.
The Bank of Ceylon and the China Development Bank has entered into a $140 million long-term facility where drawdown will be under 2 tranches of $70 million each.
Chairman of POC Kanjana Ratpatta said, The objective of obtaining long-term facility was to build a stronger balance sheet for Bank of Ceylon, adding that it was obtained at a favorable rate. The facility will be utilized for supplementing BOC general lending requirements, which will provide much-needed support during Sri Lanka's fight against COVID-19. The BOC chairman went on to note that it will look at obtaining a further $300 million from other donor agencies, again to strengthen the balance sheet of BOC. Sri Lanka is due to settle foreign debt obligations worth $4.8 billion in 2020, of which a bulk repayment of an international sovereign bond is due in October this year.
The World Bank has appointed a new country director for Sri Lanka, Maldives and Nepal. A new country manager has also been appointed to Sri Lanka by the World Bank. While Faris Haddad Servos has been appointed as the country director for Sri Lanka, Maldives and Nepal, Chico Khanda has been appointed World Bank's new country manager for Sri Lanka.
Based in the sub-regional office in Kathmandu, Nepal, Faris Haddad Servos will lead World Bank support to Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka, overseeing the current total portfolio of around $5.5 billion. He previously served as the World Bank's country manager for Nepal. A U.S. national, he joined the World Bank in 1996 and held country manager positions in Malaysia and Bolivia. Meanwhile, Chico Khanda, the newly appointed World Bank country manager for Sri Lanka, will oversee a total portfolio of around $2.3 billion and the development of a new country partnership framework. Speaking regarding her new appointment as the World Bank country manager for Sri Lanka, Chico Khanda said Sri Lanka has managed to limit the spread of COVID-19 quite effectively so far, and that it is now critical to kickstart economic recovery and to protect people's jobs and livelihoods. A Japanese national, Chico joined the World Bank in 1994 as a young professional and has since held various positions as economist and senior economist for Africa, senior operations officer in Tanzania, and operations and portfolio manager in the Philippines. Her most recent assignment was as manager in the operations policy and country services vice presidency's results unit. At present, the World Bank is supporting the Sri Lankan government's COVID-19 response through a $215 million COVID-19 emergency response and health systems preparedness project. Additional financing of $87.24 million has also been provided through the same project to boost Sri Lanka's preparedness as it resumes economic activities.
Yesterday, Sajid Premadasa had divulged matters concerning a cable that had been revealed by WikiLeaks regarding the MCC statement agreement. Taking to social media, former Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Cabral responded to these today. The former Governor Cabral had spoken about the discussions that had taken place in 2006 with regard to the MCC Pact. This was after the opposition accused him based on a leaked message of former US Ambassador Robert Blake through WikiLeaks.
A conversation between the United States and US Embassy in Sri Lanka has been leaked through WikiLeaks. It was not our government who first held talks regarding the MCC. It was in October 2006, during the regime of Mahinda Rajapaksa and during the time of then Ambassador to the US, Robert Blake. Everything will come to light in the future, so the MCC is not something that we started. The current Prime Minister has started this while he was operating as the President back then. It was Ajit Niwad Cabral who held discussions with the US delegates on behalf of Mahinda Rajapaksa. Look at this deceit. What are they trying to do? They are trying to justify signing the same compact which originated during their time in 2006. This is the same agreement that they said they will not sign during the time leading up to the election.
In
a Facebook post, former Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Cabral said that the US had planned to offer financial assistance to Sri Lanka under the MCC program in 2004. The post states that in 2006, discussions over this matter had been limited to the projects that would be implemented under the program. Citing the cable of former US Ambassador Robert Blake that had been leaked through WikiLeaks, the former Central Bank Governor said the components of the grant that had been discussed in 2006 were contrastingly different to the components that had been agreed upon by the Good Governance government in 2019. He insisted that talks had not been held about the conditions of the MCC compact.
The former central bank chief further emphasized that the government of Mahinda Rajapaksa does not intend to accept any condition that is harmful to the country.
Can anyone trust what Niwad Cabral says? The people of this country have not forgotten what happened about the Greek bonds. Millions and billions of money from this country went to waste after being spent on Greek bonds. At the same time, they introduced the pumping and dumping scheme in the share market, in which the poor people had invested their money. What did they do to those funds? They obtained them and gained large profits for themselves. The central bank bond scam is believed to have taken place after 2015. However, forensic audits have shown that people like Niwad Cabral had committed the same before 2015. They are white-collar rogues. We must protect ourselves from them. They have been offered good positions. It is these people who must be brought before the courts and punished. If we do not form a strong force, this government would sign it after the parliamentary election. Let me point out plenty of examples regarding this. The parliament does not have any connection whatsoever to prevent the signing of the pact. However, I saw a certain individual had said that a 2/3 majority is required in Parliament to cancel the proposed agreement. Nothing of that sort is required as the agreement has not been signed yet. They have signed pre-agreement that do not have a significant impact on the MCC pact. From which aspect can they leave from the MCC? If the state leader makes a statement declaring that the MCC agreement will not be signed and inform this in writing to the US Embassy, they will have to cancel the proposed project.
The final report has comprehensively elaborated on the harm this economic corridor would bring. Furthermore, this cannot be considered alone. The risk that this corridor poses should be considered along with other agreements such as AXA, SOFA and the Peace Corps agreements. Then one can get a clear picture of how dangerous this is. This is a major matter. They attempted to sign the MCC the same way they signed the Singapore agreement by hiding it from the people. They were prepared to sign it with even doing an initial study. One article in the Right to Information Act states that the government is not bound to reveal information regarding international agreements such as this. It should be amended immediately. This will not only affect one generation but many. This report does not include that a national trade policy should be followed. This report also fails to mention that international agreements should be signed according to international trade policies. This report does include the fact that if this agreement is to be signed, it should be done according to the people's mandate following a referendum. Therefore, although this report has mentioned many important points, leaving out those two crucial matters leads us to believe that they may have created a loophole.
ආධිපත්‍යයට රැත්ව ජනමත විචාරණයකට රැත්ව සම්මත විය යුතුයි කියන කාරණේ මේ අවසන් වාර්තාව තුල නැහැ. ඒ නිසා හොඳ දේවල් ගොඩක් තිබුණත් අර බරපතල කාරණා දෙක මේකට අඩංගු නොවීම හරහා අපිට යම් සැකයක් මතුවෙනවා. මේ හරහා ඉඩක් ඉතුරු කරලා තියෙනවද?
At a time when discourse has emerged around the MCC agreement, this reminder is about the AXA agreement. AXA, or the Acquisition and Cross-Servicing Agreement, was first signed between Sri Lanka and the United States in the year 2007. In 2017, the former government signed the agreement yet again, renewing the agreement. An 8-page agreement signed back in 2007 became an 83-page document in 2017. What is contained in these 83 pages? Even though the 8-page document was revealed to the public, the 83-page document remained a secret. Was there a benefit to Sri Lanka with the signing of the AXA agreement in this manner? On several occasions, American aircraft supplied material to their warships through the Katunayaka airport. And on a further few occasions, a supplier to the American Defense Department also used the airport. Apart from this, was there any benefit to the country from signing the AXA agreement? Why can such an agreement, which brings no benefit to the country, be made null, at least now?
Lest we forget, a segment that takes us through some of the key events of our past.
Lest we forget. Our nation is bountiful with stories from our past, tales of kings and queens to foreign intervention, international agreements and deception. If we look closer,
Two things are evident. One is that several of these decisions that our kings took in the past, these agreements, are correct. Two, we made some grave mistakes at some of these pivotal moments in history. At the time these decisions were made, they seemed to be the best or the only option the country had. These are but a few instances where we went wrong.
The colonization of Sri Lanka began with the Portuguese in 1505. Little did the countrymen know that the motherland was about to lose its long-enjoyed freedom for a very long time. The explorer Lorenzo de Almeida found the island separated into 3 different kingdoms, each controlled by 3 separate kings. He marks the territory by etching the image of his king on a rock. They returned in 1517, only to trick the king to gain ownership of the land.
It was Parakramabahu VIII who ruled the kingdom of Corte when the Portuguese arrived here. Lorenzo de Almeida, who came to Sri Lanka with the intention of gaining the complete control of trade in Asia, first made friends with the king by presenting him with gifts. There were, of course, other intentions. They said if Sri Lanka wants, they could protect the coastal area from invasions from the Dutch. Finally, the Portuguese legally obtained a plot of land that spans the size of a dead cow's skin.
Lest we forget. In 1517, a Portuguese general, Albuquerque, arrived. Under the guise of providing various aid and gifts to the king, they say they need to set up a storage and a security center in Colombo. He says he needs the landmass that covers the skin of a dead cow. The king is not aware as to how the skin will be laid on the ground. After the king approves this, they cut the animal skin into strips and laid it on the ground and obtained a large amount of land and created the Colombo fort. It is clear that these foreign forces come into the country due to internal political struggles.
Don't you think something went wrong somewhere?
Lest we forget.
We'll be right back with more news after this short break. Stay tuned.
London A-level students, complete your Edith Cowan University degree in 2 years in Sri Lanka and transfer for your masters to the top 100 universities in the world. ECU is ranked 9th in the world for quality education and 1st in Australia for starting salaries, with notable alumni such as Hugh Jackman, Dominic Parcell and Jai Courtney.
You're tuned on to Primetime News. Still in news here at home, Chairman of Avantgarde made a public statement yesterday. He said he has invested separately on making sure that candidates of the National People's Power do not enter Parliament. This statement was made opposite the Presidential Commission appointed to probe political victimization. His statement has given rise to a major debate among many political circles.
Remember, I will make Anura Kumara fall in such a way that he will be left with no one at Parliament. I have spent separately on this. Our only intention now is sending Anura Kumara home. The thief has become the complainant, while those who helped arrest the thief have become the defendants. That is discipline. That is the law. Once this was taken under the Navy, it raked in profits worth 8 billion rupees. All of it was transferred to the Treasury. If the Navy earns it, it is transferred to the Treasury. What is the game that is going on now? They are working on behalf of thieves. It is reasonable for them to sacrifice their necks on behalf of the thieves. 50 million to defeat us. If they are spending 50 million to defeat us, how much might they be spending to ensure their victory? If this is not defeated soon, this country would be handed over to someone else in another year or two. Someone had sold the Eiffel Tower once. This person is similar to that person who sold the Eiffel Tower.
Eiffel කුළුණත් විකුණන්න පුළුවන් වගේ එකක් තමයි මෝ. එතකොට සල්ලි දීලා සභාපතිවරු දාලාද මේ මැතිවරණ කැම්පේන් එක කරන්නේ?
නෑ ඒක අපේ පක්ෂයෙන් කියපු කතාවක් නෙමෙයිනේ. ඒක නිසංක සේනාධිපති මහත්මයා කියපු කතාවක්. එතුමාගේ තමයි ඒක අහන්න ඕනේ.
ජනතා විමුක්ති
The JVP has people who accepted their point of view. I accept the JVP should exist in this country. For democracy to prevail, they should exist.
මොකද ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී ආරක්ෂා වෙන්න නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණත් කවුරු වැරදි කරත් ඒ වැරදි පෙන්නලා දෙන උදවිය ඉන්න ඕනේ.
There is no point talking about boastful people. If he has certain information, he should reveal it. We know there is nothing. He is carrying out a contract of the government until the 5th of August. What are we to do if lunatics shout in the streets? If the government is challenging us, we can do something about it, be it Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Mahinda Rajapaksa or politicians representing the government. If a lunatic comes in front of the court and scolds the court, they won't take much regard for it. We are doing the same. In the time between 2015 and 2019, an income of 60 million has been earned by the Navy. Where had that money gone for a certain number of years? We oppose the money which should rightfully be directed to the Ministry of Finance being directed to a businessman's pocket. He says he is willing to spend 50 million to defeat certain people. That too is gambling. Ask him to come to Gampaha. They will throw rotten eggs and chase him away. His actions are well known by everyone in the country. We have never accused Gotabaya Rajapaksa or anyone else. He, however, is now trying to tangle him in this as well.
A female suspect was arrested with a stock of firearms at a house in Pitipana, Homagama. Now, police said the firearms were found hidden inside a secret compartment in the house. Police said 7 hand grenades, 1 repeater shotgun, 4 unidentified bullets, 2 suits of body armor and 4 live bullets were also seized. It has come to light the female suspect has previously had contact with another suspect who was recently arrested in Pitipana for the possession of firearms. On the 29th, 12 firearms were discovered inside an electrical equipment distribution center in Pitipana during a police special task force raid. 2 suspects were arrested during the raid. 11 T65 assault rifles and 1 T81 assault rifle were discovered. The Deputy Commissioner of Elections in the Eastern Province has informed the National Elections Commission that scrapping off sand transportation permits after an election had been announced is a violation of election laws. S. Sudarkaran, the Deputy Commissioner, urged action to be taken in this regard as it concerns the entire country.
The Deputy Commissioner of Elections in the Eastern Province had written to the National Elections Commission covering several matters. Citing a complaint, he said that the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau had scrapped off the sand transport permit system upon the instructions issued by the subject minister through a telephone call. The complainant had accused the minister of suspending the permit system to favour his close allies who are involved in transporting sand. On previous occasions, Newsfirst had pointed out that the mining had been carried out endlessly on the banks of rivers after the government temporarily suspended the inspection of permits. These were the visuals captured by our correspondent near the Mahaveli River. Our correspondent reported that in addition to the businessmen who had been engaged in these activities, several other individuals had also begun mining starting from the vicinity of the Alla Bridge in Kantale to the estuary in Kinya. According to our correspondent, there are at least 10 corridors of sand in the area. People from several parts of the country are carrying out mining activities on the Mahaveli River. They transport sand using boats. The sand trade has gone to dogs now. The sand system was regulated through the transport permit system. Since this was suspended, individuals who do not have permits are destroying the Mahaveli River. This environmental damage had been caused due to the minister and the heads of state bodies. The Centre for Environment and Nature Studies today pointed out attempts that are underway to sell off state lands to businessmen and foreign nations by abolishing the Circular 5/2001 that brings matters concerning land administration under the district secretaries.
රජය විශේෂයෙන්ම උත්සාහ කරමින් ඉන්නවා රජයට අයත් සියලුම අවශේෂ කැලෑ සම්බන්ධව තිබු.
The government is trying to abolish the Circular 5/2001 that concerns residual forest lands. According to this circular, forest lands that are under the purview of the district secretary and divisional secretary cannot be given to businessmen and foreign nations based on their own whims and fancies. Therefore, these foreign lands had been secured through this circular. However, this government is trying to abolish this circular. There are two reasons behind this. The first is to obtain these lands to support its attempts to implement the MCC agreement. The second is to obtain the required lands for the implementation of the National Physical Plan.
ජාතික භෞතික සැලැස්ම ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමට අවශ්‍ය ඉඩම් ලබා ගැනීමටත් තමයි මේ චක්‍රලෝකය විශේෂයෙන්ම අහෝසි කරන්න රජය උත්සාහ කරමින් ඉන්නේ.
The Criminal Investigations Department has seized 4 vehicles belonging to the 4 officers from the Police Narcotics Bureau who were arrested by the CID. The Sri Lanka police said a T-56 magazine was also taken into custody from the possession of the PNB officers in question.
Meanwhile, the Criminal Investigation Department has seized 4 vehicles belonging to the 4 officers from the Police Narcotics Bureau who were arrested by the CID. Sri Lanka police said a T-56 magazine was also taken into custody from the possession of the PNB officers in question.
මීට දවස් 12කට ඉස්සෙල්ලා තමයි විමර්ශනය ආරම්භ කරේ. මීට අදාළ දූෂිත නිලධාරීන් 4 දෙනෙක්.
Investigations began 12 days ago. We were able to arrest 4 corrupt officials. Also, 2 more suspects were arrested. They were being detained and questioned. 2 vans and 2 Pajero jeeps were seized. The CID also seized cash worth 31.2 million rupees. Lands of around 10 acres purchased in several parts of the country have also been temporarily seized. 20 pounds of jewellery has also been seized. 3 bank accounts have been temporarily frozen. These police officers have been interdicted. As the Sri Lanka police, we are not ready to forgive these officers at any given time.
මොවුන් වැඩතහනමට ලක් කරලා තියෙනවා ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොලිසිය හැටියට ඔවුන්ට කිසිසේත් අපි සමාවක් දෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු.
News from courts this evening. Fourth Magistrate Ranga Disanayake today rejected a request filed by the lawyer of attorney-at-law Hijaz Hizbullah, who is alleged to have aided and abetted a suicide bomber of the April 21st attacks.
His lawyer sought an order from court to present Hijaz Hizbullah before court. President's counsel Wasantha Navaratna Bandara, who appeared before the suspect, had made this request on the 17th of June. Issuing the order, the magistrate pointed out that the court did not have the legal provisions to issue an order for the suspect, who was detained under the Prevention of Terrorism Act under the detention order of the Defence Minister. President's counsel Wasantha Navaratna Bandara, appearing on behalf of Hijaz Hizbullah, said that the statements made by the 2 child witnesses obtained in connection with the case were disclosed by several media institutions and requested that an investigation be launched on the matter. The attorney stated that media reported statements that had not been made by Deputy Solicitor General Dileep Piris, who appeared on behalf of the plaintiff during the hearing of the case. The magistrate pointed out that there were no legal provisions to issue an order regarding the reporting of statements made by various parties before the open court. Fourth Magistrate has ordered an inquiry into how several newspapers have reported the confidential statements made in accordance of Code of Criminal Procedure Act were leaked to the media when he specifically ordered them to be locked. The magistrate further added that if any testimony taken into the chamber of the court had been revealed via the media, that an investigation needs to be carried out in that regard, and directed the Senior Deputy Inspector General of Western Province to carry out an investigation on the matter. When the case was taken up today, the lawyer appearing on behalf of Rilwan Badiuddin, another suspect arrested in connection to the incident, requested the court to order that a report on the progress of the investigations on his client be presented. After considering the presentations, Fourth Magistrate Ranga Disanayake ordered the Criminal Investigations Department to submit to the court a copy of a report on investigations conducted regarding the suspect. The case will be taken up again on the 19th of August.
UK's International Ambassador for Human Rights, Rita French, delivered a statement on behalf of several countries and the core group on Sri Lanka.
In her statement, she said that the government of Sri Lanka indicated that it no longer supported Resolution 30/1, which Sri Lanka had co-sponsored in a landmark partnership with the international community to address the harmful legacies of war and build a sustainable peace in the country.
She added that while the government of Sri Lanka had stated its own commitment to advancing these principles through domestic processes, she stressed that any accountability mechanism must have the confidence of those affected. Rita French said that Sri Lanka has been battling COVID-19 and has kept case numbers significantly lower than the regional average. However, she stated extraordinary measures to tackle the pandemic should not be used to roll back human rights. They share the concerns of Sri Lankan human rights organizations over the targeting and marginalization of minority groups, the pardoning of Sergeant Sunil Ratnayaka, and promotion of others accused of serious violations during the conflict, and the militarization of a wide range of civilian functions and public initiatives. She calls on Sri Lanka to ensure that the country's democratic space remains open and accountable. She added that detentions and arrests should follow due process and be compliant with international norms and universal rights. For example, in the case of lawyer Hejaz Hizbullah, who has now been detained for almost 3 months without charge or presentation before the court.
Sri Lanka's election headquarters, where key political movers and shakers are seen and heard, where party stalwarts and fresh faces are equal, where statements are made. And leadership emerges, where partnerships are established and destinies decided. Only News First. Sri Lanka's election headquarters. News First.
With the date of the election is slowly embarking on us, the political arena is heating up with debates. Let's now take a look at some of the views expressed on the political stage today.
2020. We see Gotabaya Rajapaksa as a lone leader. He goes in one direction and the others go in an opposite way. I wish he thinks that we are more closer to his conscience more than his kin. The SLPP is mixed with the SLFP. All of them are acting as slaves. At a time where the UNP is being destroyed, they have formed an alliance with many political parties. But we are saddened because some people do not understand the reality of the situation. The reason why we are working together with the SLFP is because we cannot stand the SLFP supporters. The SLFP doesn't have a future. The destruction of the SLFP started after they joined with the UNP on the 8th of January. So those supporters have joined the SLPP now. If they had said that they don't want the votes of the SLFP, we would have contested alone. If we are attacking the SLFP by having Mahinda Rajapaksa and Gotabaya Rajapaksa in the forefront, will we have peace in the future government we are going to form? If they are making such foolish statements, we can imagine the nature of the government they will form. All those people are the ones who worked for Ranil Wickremesinghe. They have to be patient. We have to point out what they did. Today the people of this country love the people who stood with Mahinda Rajapaksa. People will do justice for the ones who stood with Mahinda Rajapaksa without changing sides. We reached 3 main agreements. We did not see anyone who said not to vote for people who are brushing up shoulders with the people in SLFP and the SLPP. Some are saying that the SLPP are trying to obtain a 2/3 majority with the UNP, leaving us astray. When they finally get the 113, we don't know when will the SLFP be removed from this coalition. Therefore, this government will be an unstable government if they come into power. Now they are saying if they won't be able to get the 113, they will form a national government by joining hands with Ranil Wickremesinghe. Now this government is slowly realizing that they cannot form a government alone. They can increase the number of ministers by forming a national government, announcing of it in parliament and through a parliamentary proposal. That is the only way of increasing the number of ministers. So even if you vote for the UNP at the end, Mahinda Rajapaksa emerges victorious.
පක්ෂය ඡන්ද දෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ කැලි දෙකෙන් කොයි එකට දුන්නත් අවසානයේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාට ඡන්ද දුන්නා වගේම තමයි.
Taking temple trees is our only ambition. We know what everyone is capable of. If they had handed over a letter to me challenging to remove the leader, if they had the majority of the votes, even the court gave the approval.
මහලේකම්වරයා විදියට ලිපියක් චැලෙන්ජ් කරලා මේ බහුතරය තියෙනවා නම් නායකයව අයින් කරන්න තිබ්බනේ. දැන් අධිකරණෙත් කිව්වනේ අනුමත කරානේ.
How can they take over temple trees? They cannot even secure 2 seats. They can't even hold a meeting. Ranil Wickremesinghe and the clan are now going to hold meetings on a digital platform. I challenge them to hold one meeting in Colombo with at least 100 people. We will not be enticed by Ranil Wickremesinghe's games. Against the backdrop where you cannot even secure your United National Party membership, they are asking members of Pradeshik Sabhas not to worry and that they will be protected by 500 lawyers. If they do not give us proper excuses, we will remove them and replace them. The UNP says Ranil Wickremesinghe will secure victory on the 6th. They say Range Bandara, who won in Anamaduwa, will be at the forefront. I will come alone to contest with Range Bandara. I will walk into Sirikota because that is our property. Sirikota belongs to everyone.
2020 Parliament. We want a clean government. Think before you vote.
Playing this weekend on Yes 101.
The Weekend Top 30 with Hollywood Hamilton.
What's up? It's Hollywood Hamilton. You know what we do around here. It's the fastest moving countdown in America. Some of the biggest names in the industry in the studio.
Hi, I'm Ariana Grande.
This is Drake.
This is Lady Gaga.
Backstage with us and on the WT30 hotline. I'll catch you this weekend for the Weekend Top 30.
The Weekend Top 30 with Hollywood Hamilton on Yes 101.
Welcome back to the news. Veteran children's author Kalakirti Sibyl Wettersinghe passed away last night at the age of 93 while receiving treatment at the Sri Javadanapura Hospital.
The day I leave this world, I will be very happy. I know that I will be leaving a wealth of knowledge behind for the children. These were the views expressed by the veteran children's author to Newsfirst back in 2017. Kalakirti Sibyl Wettersinghe was born in 1927 and spent the first 6 years of her childhood in the village of Ginthota in Gaul. A former student of Ginthota Buddhist College and Holy Family Convent in Bambalapitiya, Sibyl Wettersinghe was involved in creative writing for leading newspapers and magazines since the age of 15 years. Kalakirti Sibyl Wettersinghe, most dearly addressed as Sibyl Nanda by Sri Lankans of all age groups, dedicated her life to nourish the children of Sri Lanka and across. The biggest award I have received thus far is the feedback I get from the children. The secret is that I write things close to their hearts. In 1956, she produced a narrative called Kudahora for the children's page of a newspaper, her first attempt to write stories. The story of Kudahora eventually developed into a book that was critically acclaimed both locally and internationally. The book was translated into 7 languages, including English, Chinese and Japanese. In 1965, her story, Vesak Lantern, won an Isabel Hutton Prize for Asian Women Writers for Children. The book, won a Crystal, written by Sibyl Wettersinghe, was recently recognized as a Guinness World Record for the most number of alternate endings. The book was launched on the 5th of March 2020 to coincide with the World Children's Day. Final rites of late Kalakirti Sibyl Wettersinghe will be conducted at 3 p.m. on Friday. Remains of late Kalakirti Sibyl Wettersinghe will be laid at her residence in Papiliana Road, Nugegoda until 10 a.m. tomorrow. The remains will then be moved to a funeral parlour in Boralla for the public to pay respects. Yes, I am 90 years old, but I feel like I am 7 or 8 years old. but I feel like I'm a 7 or 8-year-old small child. Her work for literature will be appreciated for generations to come.
Well, we leave you tonight with another edition of the Nagitimu Sri Lanka song sung by students of KV College, Colombo. Good night. Take care.
Anduru bala pada atarin hinahi nagitimu Sri Lanka. Dia saka sangka pada atarin nagitimu Sri Lanka. Hitamu idiriyama ekavam mahama nagitimu Sri Lanka. Eta idivana navalokaya hamuve nagitimu Sri Lanka. Nagitimu Sri Lanka, api nagitimu Sri Lanka. Sidano venas mini satuna piripunata Sri Lanka. Meran bhumi urumaya apage rakagamu Sri Lanka. Itiriya gana ekmi opasitu rakagannata Lanka. Sana apa idiriye atipadaka jayaganma Nagitimu Sri Lanka api nagitimu Sri Lanka Madrum kanada manida panbugal elindidum Sri Lanka Natamuttanam urimai desatte kapomilkanna Time for us to hope and pray and heal our motherland. We must unite and march ahead. Arise Sri Lanka's love. Indridum Sri Lanka. Rise up Sri Lanka. Nagitimu Sri Lanka. Api nagitimu Sri Lanka.
Come Nagitimu Sri Lanka.